Hey, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings Here in Mendham, but not in Mendham. Anyway, yes, so Life Sucks, the channel, has made another video. Very nice, a tribute, no, an antinatalist voyage, short film, it's titled. Um, and it's some clips of mine combined with AI images and such, and really, very nice. Uh, yeah, it's very nice. Um, it's always a little bit difficult for me to say I am praiseworthy, because I'm not that functional, frankly. Not as functional as I should be. Could be. I don't know. You know, can I be better than this? I don't know. I thought I could be. I certainly thought I could do better in terms of communicating statements in forms or in some sort of construction that people would be at least curious to see what I was going to say. And it's just that surprised me a little that I'm just very uninteresting, and that's it makes you feel bad. But anyway, at least some people recognize that I have some value, I suppose, and so I'll just say thank you for that. I appreciate the work that goes into this, and it's for the cause, and you know I just wish my contribution to the creation was more substantial. But anyway, better. Yeah, that's all. Anyway, so it's in the great Tao Chao Cho kind of theme of my voiceover video. Anyway, so link will be somewhere, and you can always just find it by finding the channel Life Sucks. So that's why it's on the screen, so you can find it. He's done some really nice stuff in the past, especially outstanding was the coloring book. It really was quite amazing. Anyway, so on to the video about me talking about what I was saying about what I was saying when I was saying it, and then I was talking about me saying that. So it is a lot of layers of me. But that I don't find personally bothersome. But anyway, yeah, it is a, maybe it's, well, look, I just frankly think I'm better at, that's why I made the word ephilism, is because it didn't already exist. Because nobody else was saying it in a way as directly as it needed to be said. It's not a political subject. It's not even something you'd even put in the category of ethics. It's it's just so obvious in terms of just the absolute fact that it's unintelligent design. One of my phrases, and that's all you need to know. Um, Unintelligent design is going to make a mess. That's exactly what it has created. The universe has farted badly, and but as I stated in this video, was we're magnificent. There's no denying we're not magnificent creations. I mean, it's just as machines, just incredible. You know, just I'm not going to say beautiful because certainly parts of us aren't that. Um, but just and it's for nothing to live a bug's life. I mean, even the bugs are amazing machines. I mean, just as mechanical devices, just amazing hardware and kind of cruel software, or crude, let's say, and that's the real problem. And then the game to play, the things to dig and to move, is just sewage and mud. There's nothing to build here. There's nothing you can construct because it's all, a shifting, sandy cement. you know, no matter what you put it into, it just oozes out of. So, yeah. Yeah. All right. So it's probably enough of. Is it enough? Yeah, it's probably enough of a description or explanation, and to play the video and see if we hit any good key points and talk about that. So it was really, it's connected to it starts with the Cosmos music from the original Carl Sagan series. And so I talked a little bit about that and its impact on me and blah, blah, blah. Well, sound isn't playing. Computer. So it's obviously not connected to the right sound card. Again, I don't know why it reboots with completely wrong microphone and audio. Just Linux. Anyway, here we go. In terms of conveying messages, the message, okay. So yeah, I think I'm just saying that there's so many ways to do this, and this art thing is just really quite brilliant, and useful. Part of me, just says we should be able to communicate with each other without having to wear our Barney the dinosaur suit, or even our beautiful image suit, or some impactful statement suit, or any kind of placard that's well drawn, signage. We shouldn't need billboards and 15-second commercials. We shouldn't, sadly, but we do. That's the software problem. Humans are still pretty much dumb animals. And we do that with our imagination and augmentation, and every now and then we should get a little taste of reality. So somewhere I was probably saying something about just this idea that we tend to want the universe to be playable. We want a playable game, so we'll find one even in the unplayable game. So it's like you could be at a racetrack and the cars fly off and crash into the stands, and you figure out, oh well, I can't do anything about that, but I can tighten the bolt on this chair. So when the car crashes into you, your chair doesn't fly off as easily. Some sort of crap like that. I mean, you can put an airbag on your chair. All these things that aren't fixing the problem. And yes, that's that's a tendency of how we're constructed as, I want to help, I want to fix it. So in a sense, people are trying to do the right thing by being being defending the life and preserving and protecting and blah, blah, blah. In their head, they've contrived a story that somehow that makes sense. But it makes no sense in their real circumstance. It just isn't going to help. It's a waste of time, painting your chair because the chair is going to be incinerated in the fire. I would almost to have if it was required for me to lick Richard Nixon's feet. Yeah, I didn't want to go too far. Because how far would I actually go to save humanity from the current embarrassment? But the fact is I could pick almost any villain from the past, and he would be so much better than the heroes of the present. The icons of the present are such weaselly, lying sacks of scum. Representing these idealists with their religion and their flag in America, and they have these scum fucking icons. just the scummiest, depraved human garbage. And it's just so fucking ironic and bizarre. And, just to save humanity from this embarrassment. I mean, Richard Nixon, he did a lot of things that, I don't like Republicans, but compared to the morons now, God damn, at least he knew he was for like wage and price controls when inflation gets out of control. He was for, he did the whole China thing. I mean, come on. It's just so funny and bizarre that man was 500 times smarter and more disciplined and less reckless. And he was just a scheming crook in some ways. I mean, crook is probably the wrong word. Obviously, it wasn't for money. And that's all they do it for now, right? They all get rich. It's just it's so crass. But yeah, it is ironic. I would really, I would, I don't know how far I would go, but I can almost put me in bed with Richard Nixon and say yes, I could find this an admirable character compared to the garbage the political parties are creating now. Just amazing that we can't find somebody better than this to run for fucking president of the United States. Shit. And people aren't panicked. Like, oh my God, is that something really, really wrong? No, it's really, really, really wrong. Okay, when this is the best the political system can do, when there's not even close to even the idea of a candidate. I mean, not even Tom Cruise. I mean, they don't even have the suggestion of the wind or even any kind of idea of somebody really meritorious and capable of being of appropriately representing the 400-year history of America. 300.
And that's a real subject. And it's not a subject I thought would ever be a problem.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Okay, moving on.
Cosmos. I'll play some of the clips out of this, but I would just say go to the video.
All right, so yeah, no point in details. But yes, I mean, even the fact that you have to explain to people, you type "life sucks" into the search bar and you can find the channel. It's not that much work. But maybe on an iPhone, it's impossible. Who knows?
Links somewhere. You should be able to find.
More links talk. Jump ahead.
And I was also doing, during the days I would do landscaping work.
So I was talking about when this happened, and so this was one of those another time when I thought everything was, pretty bad. Reagan getting elected and all that kind of stuff, and so Cosmos was in that, vein, because everything did sort of, everything was sort of turning to shit, by the 80s. It was so far from 1969. Those 10 years were just so bad in terms of the character of the human race. I mean, all this, disco crap, all the, it was all so polyester and so tacky. And, it was just, that was the train we were on. And it didn't look good. The future didn't look bright. And it looked pretty, I mean, pollution was a real thing back then, in terms of, it was really bad. Not that it's not terrible now, it's just that we moved it all offshore, so it'll slowly get to us.
The show was, first that music, that space music stuff, I never heard anything like that before, and it was so piercing.
Yeah, so that was part of it for me. I mean, I have to say that, that's when you learn that messages are important to be, that all this, this production value thing, it does matter. I mean, I sort of had a hint of that when I got a color TV, when I was like, I don't know, 18. Um, it was like, wow, this does, it does change things. So there's advantages to less information sometimes, and then there's advantages to more detail. So it is a strange, because some things didn't move to color as well as other things and all of that, and so that's really complicated conversation about all those subtle mind triggers and the fact that the color sometimes just gets in the way. As funny as that sounds. Um, and sometimes it's better to tell the story with stick figures, because any nuance or character you give something, it becomes repugnant. Some aspects, he has a beard or some other, and it's something, some turn off thing triggers you, and that's the other problem with too much detail. So it's almost better to like AI ourselves into kitten. Who could hate the kitten? Oh, the kitten's talking philosophy. It's not going to get in your way. You're not going to be distracted by, uh, you know, how many wrinkles there are in his forehead. You'll get over it.
Say the average person, just because I did an awful lot of experimenting with, taking things apart and electronic.
Yeah, so I was just saying that there was a certain, obviously, appeal for programming like that. I liked PBS shows that were about science. But this was just, it wasn't like anything else produced. I mean, it was just so well done in terms of creating an atmosphere for absorbing this information about how, the context of our existence. And for me, like as I stated in the video, it was a little disappointing that it ended in such bullshit. Some extraterrestrial bibble babble, Drake equation nonsense. And it was just very disappointing. Kind of like that True Detectives thing, where they do all that little bit of creating this, beautifully perceptive character who's seeing the truth, that finally turned on the X-ray vision and is seeing through all the bullshit, and they turn him into a piece of bullshit, and it's just like, oh, fuck you. Anyway.
Are in the universe, blah, 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 blah. And already then, I knew, just because of the one-time event stuff.
Yeah, so I had already thought about evolution and the process quite a bit, and recognized that here we are sitting here and we're talking about this building a living thing, and it's kind of like when the religious people say, "Well, God didn't just poof." I mean, how did watches get on Earth? How's this complex thing? Oh no, why man had to make it. God, that kind of argumentation. And just going when you go through the thought process and you say, well, if variations on the theme of a living thing can't be created in a sea of parts, it obviously isn't easy, because there's every reason to believe there would that a new Frankenstein could pop out of this sea of organic material, and it doesn't. So what chance does it have on some planet where there isn't any of all that? There isn't all that fertilizer.
But anyway, and then you get into the whole limitations of even trying to go anywhere in space is monstrous.
Yeah, so, and they, you can go through all this list of all these, kind of harsh obstacles. You can't really travel anything close to a fast speed, because there's just too much random crap out there in space, and you'll hit something the size of a grape, but if you hit it at 20 or 30,000 miles an hour, guess what? You're fucked, because it's the same thing as somebody shooting a bullet at your ship, and it's just going to bore a hole in it, and you're dead. So you're not going anywhere fast. It just ain't going to happen, because you're not going to be able to create any, force fields. All that Star Trek crap ain't going to happen. It's not in the physics.
To maybe know better or any of that. Because
So I was just pointing out how, for a lot of that physics, I couldn't. I could say, gee, that doesn't sound right, but I can't. I couldn't make a good argument because I just didn't have more than that high school education and what I had acquired by just, you know, some book reading and just personally taking things apart. Working on cars and doing different things. You learn thermodynamics. You learn a lot of stuff just by doing that. So yeah. So enough about that.
make me. It just was put upon me to be me.
Yes. So yeah. So it is so hard to describe. The fact that you don't really. You can't say, oh, okay, I made who I am. No, you didn't. You were just assigned to end up being the person you are. That was your assignment. And even the parts where you think, but I did the polishing and I thought of the idea of, yeah, but you didn't think of it on your own. So, there's just no way you can, say your construction is you that constructed it. But the fact is that you are the you, and uh, and every day there's the opportunity to be the better version of you, because every day you can look at the blueprint, you can look at the script you're reading, so to speak, as I stated, and you can see the flaws in it. You can say, gee, that needs to be fixed. So I can recognize who I am now, how I react, and I could say, I need to do better. I mean, I need to do some push-ups. I need to, build my upper body strength. You can find your flaws and say, I got to fix that kind of thing. And it's really that obvious. And the point is whether you do or you don't. That's the tricky part. Because there's no mechanism that assures, the way brains work. You have a good idea, but you have a bad day, and then the good idea is lost because the bad day has consumed it.
Power of that. And obviously, I'd say this is probably the first good use of it.
So I was just saying AI is, really just going to be another one of these things where we take really great technology and just turn it into rape porn, some kind of crap, and that's unfortunate.
I would try to maneuver everything into, and so I would play this driving, and it was just,
So some of the space music, and it really does. I mean, it was really interesting in terms of it does make your life very internal, and it does make it very theater-esque, where the world becomes much more, you can pick pieces out of it, and it's much more interesting. Not that you should be a distracted driver, but I just mean even the lights and the asphalt put to good music keeps you focused. I guess that's the thing, right? It's not distracting. You're not thinking about your own little fairy tales as much, your own little narrative, and you are actually seeing things that you usually don't see because you're not really paying attention to the environment, so to speak. It's just a good way to explore, whether you're going microscopically in, like Fantastic Voyage or something, and you can see things that you just didn't appreciate because your vision is more focused. And so Cosmos was about doing it with this external universe. It would have been good to have one that focused on the internal universe and recognizing, maybe going through the the blueprints of a mammalian organism and seeing just how robotic it is.
Order or symmetry versus unbalance. So you could sort of see
So yeah, so I said about my first um, conscious memory of a truly conscious event. I mean, I remember twirly things in a crib, you know, but that's a really poof memory, you know. And you remember some things like feelings, you know, some kind of idea of warm or too hot or something like that. Um, but the first time where I just recognized kind of the idea of being alive, a thing, looking at the world, and it's a pretty vivid memory of, you know, standing up and looking out a window and not being not having a good feeling. Yeah, thinking what the fuck is that? You know, it's thinking what the fuck, even though I couldn't say the words what the fuck. Okay.
Purpose.
Gracefully walk the hell out of here because I didn't get any of it. So
That was a nice image, a little website there. That's nice. Anyway, yeah, so my alienation is sort of like this part of the story is the fact that there's just a lot to alienate from, because when you really look at our lives and how fake and phony everything is, even this, the pretense of, you know, clothes and combs and makeup, and, you know, it's all so fake. Fake, fake, fake. We can't even live a, you know, any kind of non-contrived existence. Everything is a contrivance.
We've disgraced our intelligence, insulted it, brutalized it, perverted it. At the core, we're just crap.
So it's a lot of this stuff is probably overdrawn.
So yeah, the images are interesting though, you know, and just the fact that, you know, well, it's an AI, so it has little excesses, you could say, or defects, but it's just it's good, you know. It's creates the it creates something you could see as the real thing and have a real reaction to it. And you know, the fact that you could just generate a very you know, the characters for the story, and that, you know, it's not real. You know, but the downside is this can be manipulated and used by all these evil doers who want to create fake news, and so that's the really dark side.
It also inspired fear because there wasn't.
Yeah, so I was talking about my empathy, and the fact that, you know, it always kind of turns into, for me, you know, because I am a selfish fuck. You know, the part that really motivates me is the recognition that it really is an attack against me, not just an attack against the person who's being victimized. Because I know if we just keep playing this game, I'm going to get that card. You know, you're going to eventually win the lottery. You know, if we have enough versions of the lottery drawing, yeah, you actually win. There's a version where you win. And these are all negative lotteries. And so I'm just setting myself up in the future, so to speak. You know, the versions of human being that might as well be me because they have enough in common. You know, we have 1,000 things. There's a list of 1,000 things, and every single one of those things we are the same in those respects. So yeah, maybe we don't look the same. Maybe our pancreas doesn't work the same. But you know, in so many ways, we experience our existence the same. And so if you're doing it to that person, it's what's the difference if you're doing it to me? You know, if one of us has to have a broken leg, what's the difference? Because we're both going to react to it, you know, in a similar way, and it's going to be a similar kind of experience. So it was just recognizing that fate, that I'm going to keep waking up on this planet and looking out the window and going, oh fuck, where the hell am I? What am I caught up in? You know, and just waiting for the fan to shoot the shit at me.
And any good reason for me to believe I wasn't on the hit list. That I didn't have.
Yeah, they have your number, so to speak. They're coming to your, it's not good. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
And, just because I had one of those things where you kill a bug,
So I just don't like the video I would have made, which was similar, just because, the theme was sort of just recognizing this, the huge price being paid and just how, how unfair life is. And, some animals get to have a name and some animals and all the rest of them don't. Most of them don't get to be a pet, and they don't get to have somebody care about them and worry for them. And they're all magnificent creations. Again, every single grasshopper, every single piece of crap on this planet, these are insanely magnificent machines. And they're playing such a miserable game, and we are so lacking in appreciation for the dignity, being shit upon.
Every day and saying it's all worth it. It's fun, even.
Yeah, so the mass murder, the slaughter of children, immature organisms, beaten to death, kicked to the curb, so to speak, by nature, and humans can't generate, any kind of reasoned response. But they're sad that there's no life on Mars. Fuck. So stupid.
They're really alive.
So there's trillions of them. There's just so many, and each one of these could be somebody's pet. Each little creature is a, just a marvelous complexification of chemistry. And and just people can't even be bothered to spend 48 seconds of their existence acknowledging that tragedy, that all of those personalities, all of those feeling, striving, fighting critters, all those little heroes, are going to be brutally, have their legs hacked off, kind of thing. Yeah, and at 48 seconds, that's too much time. Yeah.
Between, an honorable.
So the thing is they'll glorify 5 people in history, and everybody else is an asshole. And also ran. So it's the whole Olympic nonsense, of all of this work, all of this effort made by millions of people to try to strive, and all of that, who cares? Let's just applaud the hero that won. Disgusting.
We've been there and done this all over the place, almost every way you can do it. So anyway,
Yes, haven't we? I'm just saying.
Yeah, this isn't a complicated theme or formula. It's all formula, right? Shakespeare wrote all the plays, and every other sitcom or story is just redoing the plays over and over and over again. The themes of underdog and regret and all this kind of crap that that goes on in our line, where we're just striving to be winners and helpful and useful in all of these things. And again, we can only find ways to do that are such crude crayon drawings of a real plan. They're just not going to win the war.
Enough to be proud. Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm just talking about, yes, again, you know, I'm uncomfortable accepting a praise. Because, you know, the battlefield is, I haven't conquered it, you know, I haven't smited the enemy. And, you know, until I do, yeah, so it's either you do or there's no try, as Yoda would say. There's do or do not do. And, you know, I'm just recognizing how I'm just not doing.
Of doing it doesn't fix the idea that you have to live for doing it, so you're going to have to find something else to do.
Is he doing it? Okay, I don't know exactly what that was, but, you know, okay, good enough. I'll trust you on that one.
Going part of all this, you know, even when I started throwing some of these background images on, and you know, they just kind of do trigger some.
Yeah, so it is kind of funny to be triggered by your other versions of yourself, and you know, to have some external mechanism decide what you're going to remember. So somebody could say, remember something that happened when you were 10. You know, if I pick, you know, who knows what's lost in there. But if somebody has a picture, you know, or a photo album, you know, then it'll trigger, you know. Now, unfortunately, most of us have seen all the pictures that we have of our photo album, so that's in our own brain, and that's all we have is these memories of. And, you know, the ones that weren't photographed are the ones we have to just keep, you know. But it would be better if we had the film, you know, of the whole thing, your whole life, and you could really look at all the little pieces that took place. You know, what happened in 1969, what are every day of 1969. I would love to have that video, you know, just to see because these were key portions of my existence, where key insights into recognizing what it, you know, to really becoming alive, so to speak. I mean, you know, you're one version of alive at 8, and I was a different version of alive at 12. You know, and those years are really important years in terms of gaining perspective, and it'd be just nice to be able to have a much clearer memory, much more a richer memory. You know, in the dam. Yeah, so the idea of just sticking my finger in the hole in the dam, and how it's, you know, there's such this insane bureaucracy to this process. You have to jump through all these hoops and meet all these standards, and you have to do whatever it is you got to do to be popular and this and that, just to get there, to stick your finger in a stupid hole. Irritating. I don't see much of that stuff. And you think with this AI enhancement that it gets even better and better. But maybe it takes actual computer resources. And so I was just talking about how virtual reality, a lot of things have really not gone anywhere, you know, substantial, in terms of creating a real immersive environment. It's kind of still lame, I think, you know. But I haven't bought the better versions of AI. I haven't bought any versions, frankly. But it was always slow growing, and it's really about that whole sensual experience, right? I mean, the real AI is to put you in one of them water tanks and hook all the electrodes on you, and you know, create a real immersive sensation of being there. And it doesn't seem like they're really working on that very hard. And I guess I have to work on that. But I don't know exactly how to do that under current conditions. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just pointing out how, yes, I'll make excuses for how I'm failing. And something's going to change, and I'll do something. You know, and I don't have clue, frankly, of how I can change my functionality substantially enough to create you know, a better person, you know. But anyway, who knows? It could happen. I could get better at this. Anyway, we'll see. So I think that's a video and such. So anyway, interesting, triggering points. And just it's always interesting, these interpretations and, you know, twisting and turning the thing to look at it, and, you know, all of that is quite useful, and all of this artistic interpretation does help in that process of seeing more, even if what you're seeing is synthetic, because it has a relationship to reality, an important relationship. All right, so I think we'll call it a video and such. So till the next time and such, yeah, try to stay out of trouble. Well, try not to, find it. Yeah, don't find it, in ways that are likely to find it. To do something where you're not likely to find trouble, that kind of thing. And just, don't walk in minefields or something. Just simple stuff. My brain just was going to say something like, yeah, don't step on any of them sidewalk cracks. Yeah, no, go ahead and step on those. That's just bullshit. Not a problem. All right. So, till the next time and such and so forth. Yeah, that's really enough. Pretty sure. Yeah.